Hey, hello. Today we are in Tilburg city. It is well, a little bit past 8 a.m. It's still early in the morning, but the weather is quite beautiful. Never been to this convention. It is maybe, it's the third time that I am going to a convention. I attempted to go to this convention before, like I think earlier in this year, but it's just such a long ride from my home, like 3 hours with the train, and there were some problems with the train, so I was not even sure if I would arrive here. So yeah, basically in short, I'm here early, took a different approach this time to get here, stayed in a city that was nearby. I only had to take like a train ride for 40 minutes to get over here. And so everything is going according to plan, but my plan is, like normally with a convention, I love making lists. Of course, there are some games that I do want to check out and pick up today. But I think I'm just gonna roll with it. Just see what stands out, if something is interesting to me and that I do want to pick up. But also, my approach today is just not gonna stress out about if I'm able to find the games. Just, just hope that I am able to find a couple of nice games, and that will already make my day. But yeah, there's just another hour to go. I will probably walk around a little bit and see the scouty area, see what I'm dealing with. Never been here before, so yeah, very exciting. Let's wait in the line if there's any, and let's just check it out and see what we can pick up today. Bye. As you could see from the footage, there were a ton of games at the convention, but we are not done yet. This is only the beginning, and I only wanted to briefly talk about the waiting line, 2 games that I picked up early on at the convention. And also, I will talk about my experience like later on in this video. Yeah, first of all, like the waiting line after the intro, when I went to the entrance, there were some people waiting already in line, maybe 10 or so. I will add a photo here so that you can see it. But that line was going at a rapid pace, so it was a very good decision of me to go there as early as possible, because I don't think I should have arrived there like maybe 30 or 45 minutes later. But yeah, I picked up one game within maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so. It was really quick, and it was my it was my main mission of that whole day. It was the most expensive game that I was searching for. There was also a different game on the list that I wanted to pick up. It was either that one or this one. But yeah, I found it within 10 minutes in a very good condition. I'm not gonna let you wait until the end of the video so that you can see like the big hit that I picked up. So yeah, let's just get started with this one. Yeah, I'm very happy that that this one is now part of the collection. It is Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness for the Nintendo GameCube. And as you can see, it is in a very good condition. It is the condition that I was searching for, because it's, yeah, like an expensive game, and I just want to find like a good version at that point, instead of like getting like a cheaper version that's in a worse condition. It has the manual. The manual also looks in a pristine state, barely like opened and read. The VIP voucher is in there, or the VIP insert. The code has been scratched, but you know, to me that's just a nice bonus if it has not been used. But yeah, the disc is also yeah, in a very good state. There are no micro scratches on it. It has been a very difficult game to find, not due to its rarity, but you know, it is not a rare game. I see it quite often online. It is not a common game, but I don't want to call it a, like uncommon or rare, but I just don't see it that often for a good price or in a good condition. The price on price charting says around like 230 euros. I do see it ranging from 160 to even 300 unsealed, so just complete in box. But yeah, 160 is mostly the starting price of online listings. And yeah, a difficult thing is just that, from my experience, a ton of people are searching for Gale of Darkness. So that 160 quickly goes up, you know, to 200 plus or whatever. But because like a ton of people are responding to it, if you're just a little bit like hesitant or too late responding to the listing, you already missed out, or the price has already gone through the roof. I even had some instances where a seller got so many responses that they removed the listing again, and you know, didn't want to bother with it anymore, because, you know, again, from my experience, that is like how many people are always responding to listings for Gale of Darkness. So if I find it online, it's already difficult to even approach the seller in a certain way. But yeah, that experience has just always been tricky. That is a reason why rather would have picked up like this game at a convention, so I could just check it out, see it on my own, and not having to deal with like the shipping cost, or you know, making sure that it would even arrive here. But yeah, even at conventions it has been tricky. Like, I haven't been to many of them, but I think at the second one I saw Gale of Darkness for 270 without a manual, and also that's just madness. I do understand like higher prices at conventions, because yeah, you know, the seller needs to purchase or pay for the stand and also travel to that location. So I have a feeling that if you're at a convention, you're paying a higher price due to that, but also, you know, you don't have to pay for shipping. So I'm okay with buying or paying a little bit more for a game like this. But yeah, I found it within 10 minutes. It was a huge relief that I was able to find it. Yeah, never played Gale of Darkness. You know, that's the reason why I purchased it, because I do want to play it. I do want to experience this one. And yeah, very cool.
So again, mission accomplished. Very nice. Another game that I picked up early on, maybe within 30 minutes or so, is a game that I sold maybe a year and a half ago, and I sold quite a bit of my collection in the last 2 years or so, and yeah, this is definitely a game that I regretted selling because I like the franchise, I like the game, but I also like the genre. And it is a Contra Shattered Soldier for the PlayStation 2. I wasn't really not thinking that I would see this one at the convention. I don't see this one quite often. Maybe online, like here and there. But yeah, I saw it over there for 30 euros, which is a very solid price. But I was able to get it for 25. Is even a more solid price. I think I sold my copy for around like 40 or 50. So it ended up working out, you know, in the end. But yeah, I'm not gonna sell this one anytime soon because it is Contra. I really like Contra. You know, I prefer the SNES version. Hey, listen, I also like the Genesis version, but the SNES version is my go-to Contra game. But yeah, I saw this one and I had to pick it up. So that's Contra. Later during the day, I picked up some actual retro games at the convention, and this was completely unexpected for me because these are NTSC games, and it's a Nintendo 64 and 3 NES titles, and it is very rare that I am able to add like a game these days to my NES NTSC collection. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. The first title is Ogre Battle 64, and it is in a decent condition. Like I don't mind this. Like the front label is a little bit like faded. I think the dragon here is supposed to be like solid, like all the way through. But you know, it adds a certain charm, and I can be picky with Nintendo 64 titles, especially like the NTC ones. So was really happy that I was able to find this one over there. Also got a very cool deal from the seller. Apologies, forgot your name, but also a shout out to the seller because they recognized me from one of my Xbox 360 videos, which was also very unexpected and very funny and cool to happen. But yeah, they were able to give me a deal on this one. And yeah, Ogre Battle 64, it was on my list because because of reasons that I will go over later on in this video. but it's to me this is a rare game because I think it's a rare one as well if you're in the USA. But yeah, seeing this one over here for a decent price, I don't think that is gonna happen that often. And now you will see after me picking this one up, I will see it like at every convention that I will visit. But nevertheless, Ogre Battle 64, I'm not too familiar with it. Like I know the Switch title, that is Tactical Ogre Reborn. That is kind of like a remake of the first one that was a PlayStation 1 title. Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, like I'm not an expert about the Ogre Battle 64 titles or the Ogre Battle titles. But yeah, I know of it, but what always stood out to me, it's like a turn-based strategy title with like you do have like multiple units on like a combat field, somewhat similar to like Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, it has a overall, I think, a very cool look, and you don't see those that style on the Nintendo 64 like 2D games. But also it is one of the like rare RPG titles on the Nintendo 64, because you do have like Quest 64 and then there's this other title, Aiden, something like that. I don't know the name. But yeah, there are just not that many RPG titles on the Nintendo 64, and yeah, very, very cool that this one is now part of the collection. And that I was able to find this one at a place like that instead of having to order it online, because then it becomes like very, very expensive. I'm talking about like double the price for real. So yeah, very happy with this one. The NES games that I picked up are all from the same seller, and yeah, the first one that I want to highlight is Casino Kid, which is a very cheap title. There is a Casino Kid 2, which is I think only a USA release, and it's also very expensive. But yeah, Casino Kid, it is a very simple game. You are in a casino, and I think you are able to play maybe like 5 different kinds of like casino games. I never played it, but yeah, it is a game that I wanted to add to my collection. Although it is very cheap, I just was never able to find like a good deal on it, so happy that I found it. The other one, it's a game that I often forget that it exists, but yeah, when I saw the gameplay footage of it, again, I was like, oh yeah, that game, because one thing that stands out is the walker animation, and I'm talking of Treasure Master. Yeah, it's like a side-scroller platform game. You are able to collect some items, and with that you need to solve some puzzles, so there is something to it. It doesn't make a ton of sense in the beginning though, so I do need to play some more of it. But yeah, the walking animation is just, it's super good. I love it. One problem though, but I think I caused this issue, is that the card has some damage to it. It broke like from the top to here. It is not too bad though. And yeah, it is still playable, but sad to see. But again, I think I caused a problem because there were just too many games in my backpack and it got crushed, sadly. The final game, this was the most expensive one. Also a game that I might have known about, but it was not on any of my NES lists. But I'm happy, but very happy that I found it over there. It's Little Ninja Brothers, and yeah, it is in a very good condition. Now, what stands out to me with Little Ninja Brothers is that it tries to combine different gameplay mechanics or game types into one game. Like, it is a beat 'em up. You can play it alone or together, which is already like super awesome, because there are not like a ton of like co-op games, but there are RPG elements, so you can level up, unlock new items or buy new items. But there's even like an overworld map with random encounters similar to like Final Fantasy, so that is just yeah, something that I always love to see, like the combination between like different game types. So I took a little bit of a gamble on this one because it is an expensive title, but very happy that yeah, I found it, picked it up, and took the gamble, because it is kind of awesome. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned what I paid for these games, but I do think it is important to mention that, because earlier on in this video I mentioned that the prices at conventions are a little bit higher for obvious reasons. And this is the fourth time that I went to a convention, so I'm still learning and I'm new at this, but you can still make very good deals. Like, I got a good deal on Orca Battle, but I also got like an amazing deal for these 3 games. So let's go over the prices. These games are listed on at price charting, and then let's go over what I paid for them in total. And I do think I got an amazing deal, because if I had to order these online via eBay and had to pay for shipping and like tax, the price would have probably been like doubled. So Little Ninja Brothers is currently listed for $60 on price charting. Casino Kid is the least expensive one, and that is currently listed for $5. It is super cheap, but again, it is expensive if I were to buy this one online, either local or imported. Treasure Master is around 20. So in total, this stack of games would cost me like $85, which is, I don't want to say reasonable, but that seems like okay-ish with today prices. The Little Ninja Brothers is just an expensive title. But my estimate is, if I were to buy these online for $85, the shipping costs could range between like 30 or 40 even. Yes, 40. I've seen it happen with eBay. It is crazy. And then with taxes, let's just say I would end up paying around 120, and that is me lowballing it. 120, that seems like a good deal. But yeah, that is something that I would pay, because the taxes and the shipping costs. So 120, it would probably be 140. But in the end, I paid 60 euros for these 3, and that translates to like $66. That is insane. So the price alone for what I were to pay for Little Ninja Brothers, I paid for these 3. Now, again, I don't know if with Treasure Master if the damage was there or not, but still it would have been an amazing deal. So the lesson that I learned at this convention is be on a good lookout for like good deals, but also try to see like if a seller has like multiple games that you are interested in, and try to have that conversation to make a good deal, because it can happen. $66 for these 3. It's a good deal, I think. Let me know if you agree with that one. But yeah, very happy that I was able to find like 3 good NES games at this convention, because totally unexpected, and did not think that would even happen. I had no idea that I would leave this convention with 3 NES games. But we're not done yet, so let's continue on. And we're back. And first of all, I do want to mention like the fancy back, lights in the back. Don't be scared. It's gonna be fine. I will explain just briefly what is going on. It is late at night, and I'm trying my best to finish this video. But there are just too many pickups, and there are 2 games that I want to talk about right now. But yeah, the other camera that I use for the pickup videos, it doesn't deal well with artificial lighting, and when it's late at night and indoors. So I decided to do it with my streaming setup because sometimes I do stream games on Twitch sometimes. And this is the setup that I also use for the Let's Play videos. But with that said, don't be scared. It's gonna be fine. Just have to use this one for now because otherwise this video is never gonna end. So let's get started. Now the following game is a PlayStation 2 title, and yes, another PlayStation 2 game. I keep saying I don't collect for the PlayStation 2. But yeah, my list, honestly, that list is going smaller and smaller, and I think there are only 11 or 12 games on that list that I only want to add to my collection. But I keep discovering like very interesting and fascinating titles. With that said though, this is a bad game that I picked up. But I picked it up for one specific reason, and that is because it's a game of the Masters of the Universe, He-Man, Defender of Grayskull. Listen, it is He-Man, but that cover art is looking amazing. Look at that. It looks really cool. And the screenshots look cool as well, but the gameplay, it just doesn't feel that well. But I do want to play more of it, maybe at some point on a stream. But it doesn't feel well. It doesn't feel well at all. But yeah, from the gameplay, it's kind of like a third-person, like adventure game. What is interesting though, but also at the same time, like the difficulty with playing the game, is the way you attack. Like I think like directional input is necessary, and then attacking, and that is like how you do like different moves. Like if I move to the left instead of like to the right, I do like a different attack move. It just doesn't feel that well. Kind of like the look of it though, but that is maybe more like just the general like the PlayStation 2 vibe, like that era. And we don't see like games like these anymore. Like why not? Well, maybe because they were not that great, but I think these games could be super enjoyable still these days. But yeah, the cover art is awesome. I was able to, I saw it like 3 times at the event. Most of the prices were around like 20 euros, 20 or 30. But yeah, I saw this one for 10 in this condition, and that is also why I decided like let's just pick this one up, because it's also completed, with manual, and also the manual just looks brand new. So this just seemed like a very good deal. And also, once I passed that one up for like 8 euros or so, I kept seeing it, and slowly like the price go higher and higher as well. So I don't know what the deal with this one is, or maybe the $8 or euros was just an oddity. But yeah, that made me kind of search out for it a little bit more, and stumbled upon it during the event. So that was cool. So Masters of the Universe. And the next game is a game that has been on my list for a long time, and I really wanted to re-add this one to my collection, but no, I did not sell this one, or I don't think I did, because it is an awesome game and I don't remember selling it. But yeah, there are just a couple of GameCube titles that have disappeared from my collection, and I don't know what happened to those. For example, Kirby Air Ride is one of them. I had it, but it's gone. I have it again, but it was gone. Anyway, this one, let's just show it. It is Metal Arms Glitch in the System. And this one is in a very good condition. Also with a manual that looks pristine. Love to see that. But yeah, Metal Arms Glitch in the System. I really enjoyed playing this game in the past. I finished it, and always really like the look of it, like the 3D models. It looks, the main character and all the other characters, I just like the look of this game. I also like the way it plays. It's kind of like a third-person, action game, adventure game as well. Just a lot of shooting and killing robots. But yeah, I really like it. But yeah, I had it at some point, but not anymore. Doesn't matter. I have it again. But it was just a tricky game to get, at least for a decent price, and also like in the a language that I preferred, like the back of the box, like in English, because whenever I saw it, it was either like the German version or the French version. And also for like a high price, like maybe just around like between like 30 or 40 euros. I got this one for 40, by the way. Was very happy to pay that price for this one, mostly because I have been searching for this one for a long time. But yeah, whenever I saw the UK version, never saw that one on Vinted. But I did see it on eBay, but then it's often also £40. So that maybe translates to 46 euros or something. But then you could get like the text added to it and like high shipping costs. So you end up paying maybe 60 or 65. So that's just a lot. I really like the game, but 65 is just not a good deal if that is not like the going price on price charting. And I always try to, stay below that. Anyway, end of the story is I was able to pick this one up. It is a very cool game, and it is a cool game. So very happy that it's now part of the collection again. So that was Metal Arms Glitch in the System. Look at this dude. He's awesome. We are almost done. Spoilers, but there are 3 games left to go. So yeah, let's just sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. It is time to talk about the final 3 games that I picked up at the convention. There are 3 PlayStation 2 titles. The first 2 are all from the same seller. They were somewhat on my list, but was not expecting to find them over there. And definitely not for the price that I got them for. So got an amazing deal. We will talk about that in a second. The final game is a horror title for the PlayStation 2. Was very high on my list. I purchased this one from the same seller that sold me the Pokemon XD Guild of Darkness at the beginning of the convention. So we looped back around again. But yeah, got an amazing deal as well. So yeah, let's get started and talk about these games. The two games that I picked up from the same seller, one of the games is a game that I played in the past on a PC and actually finished it. It's somewhat of a B game, but really enjoyed it in the past and just wanted to replay it again. And it is also a horror title, and I am collecting horror titles for the PlayStation 2. But I'm also collecting the following type of games, but I have never played this one. I will talk about the two games briefly, and then we'll talk about the price because it is worth talking about again. The first one is Red Ninja. Now, again, this is a game that I've never played in the past, but yeah, the condition is very good. This seller was selling their games from their personal collection. That is what they told me, but I definitely can see that if I see like the condition. The manual is like pristine, and there are no scratches on the disc. There is some damage though at the top of the box, but that's not like a big issue at all. Like the cover is intact. Never played Red Ninja, but I really like these type of games. Like I have both like Tenchu games on the PlayStation 2 and Shinobi-Do, and I think there's another game that I can't like remember at the moment. But yeah, never played Red Ninja, but from what I played and from what I read online, it is somewhat janky, but I think this game is trying to do some like cool stuff, especially with the weapon, because there's a blade attached to like a string, so you can throw like the blade and then like pull the string and then cut like enemies in half. It is somewhat gory and bloody, but yeah, it doesn't feel that great, but it feels like good enough. Like it feels like playable, not like Masters of the Universe bad. But yeah, very excited to check this one out, and it was on my list and got a very good deal for this one, so I could not pass that one up. But yeah, I really like these games, and I try to collect those type of games like the Ninja, the Samurai games for the PlayStation 2. I just like it. The other one is the Suffering for the PlayStation 2, also in a very good condition. Again, the manual, look at that. It looks brand new. Also, the disc has no scratches. Now, the Suffering, I played this one on the PC, finished it, and my memory is that I really enjoyed it, but I played it when it was launched, so that's a long time ago. I don't know the exact year. I enjoyed it, but it is a cheapish horror game, and it's not necessarily like a survival horror game, but there's a mix between like the survival horror and some action. You can even like switch to first person and then shoot your guns like that. So I kind of like that balance between the action and just the horror aesthetics. It is somewhat of a cheap game, but that's fine. That's completely fine. It's a B game, and that's for a horror game that fits. That fits well. I just remember really enjoying this one, and I really wanted to add this one to my collection. Now, these two games I was not expecting to find at the convention at all. Definitely not for the price. Because let's go over that now. The Red Ninja one. Price charting. I know. Price charting is an indication. And those prices are often wrong. It's either they are too high or too low. But yeah, they kind of match up with what I see online on Vinted or eBay. Now, Red Ninja is listed on price charting for the PAL version for $31. So, maybe 25 euros or so, 25, 26. And that's correct. I see this one on Vinted when I see it for around like 25. So that tracks. That's accurate. Now, the Suffering is listed on price charting, the PAL version for $21. No, that's also somewhat accurate. Like, I think when I see it, like bad condition, maybe around like 14-ish. But yeah, like a good condition is quickly like 17 or 20-ish, which decent price. But when you get like the shipping cost, like if you can bundle up together with some other games, then it's okay. But paying like 20 or 25 for this one, depending on the condition, might be a good price, but it sounds a little bit high. But it's a very enjoyable game. Now, that is not what I paid for this one. So let's just round the number up. So that's $50 for both of these games. Now, that is definitely not what I paid for it. They were selling this one for €750, so that's maybe $10. that's a steal. Like when I saw it, I was thinking, why has no one purchased this one? It was at the end of the convention, maybe in the last half hour or so. But €7, 750 euro. I had to pick this one up because it was also on my list, but that is just a good price. Red Ninja, they were selling this one for $12.50. Also a steal, or maybe even 10. I can't remember, but it was very low. So I think I ended up paying €16 total for these two games. They gave me even a good deal because, again, picked up multiple games and they were able to like lower the price for a little bit. Not too much though. Like I said, like I will give you 15, and always you go to the middle. And we ended up, this one was actually 10 because they were asking 17.50 and I said 15, and they returned with a 16. Like, hey, let's meet up in the middle. 16 for these two. Again, amazing deal. Amazing deal if you ask me. Very happy with these two, and especially with this condition. That was very. I think I got lucky again. So very happy with these two. It is time to talk about the final game that I picked up at the convention, and I picked this one up in the last half hour or so, and I kept searching for it throughout the convention. I saw it a couple times, maybe 3 or 4 times, but never was able to make a good deal or find one that was in a good state, like a proper condition one. We looped back around again because I bought this one from the same seller that sold me Pokemon XD Guild of Darkness, and that is also why we were able to make a good deal again, because I purchased like a very expensive title from them early on. This one was high on my list. It is Forbidden Siren for the PlayStation 2. It is a horror title, so I need to check, but there are just a couple more games left that I really want to add to my PlayStation 2 horror collection. And this one was high on the list because Forbidden Siren, it's a very cool game, a unique game, and scary as hell. You will see that in the gameplay. Like the audio design is like very good. But let's talk about the price first for a little bit. Because this one is not complete in box, although the state is very good. But let's show the insides, because there is a manual, and the disc is also in a very good state, like no scratches on it, and the manual is in a pristine state. But a complete in box version also, so far as I understood it, has like 3 postcards in it with some like images or the zombie type enemies on the cards. It's kind of like a nice to have. Like I rather collect like complete in box, but with this one I could not pass this one up. So at the end, and throughout the convention, I went back to that same seller again, just kept looking and eyeing if they had anything that I was interested in. But they had like Forbidden Siren. It is also something that shows up in the footage, like within a case. But that version was 75 and had the 3 cards. But the weird thing though is, or weird-ish, is that the disc in that version, it was good enough, but it had some scratches on it. But they were also selling this one. This one was just in the box for 60 or 65 without the cards. But the disc is, or in my opinion, was in a better state. But in the end, I went back there again, even asked them about it, like why, what is the difference? And then I discovered the thing about like the 3 postcards. Like again, that's a nice to have, but for the deal that I made with this one, I was happy that I was able to get this one, because I rather have like a disc that is in a good state. So the selling price was 65, but because I purchased like Pokemon XD, we were able to make a good deal, and either I paid 50 for this one or 55. I don't know the exact number, but that was a price that I was really happy to pay for this one, because again, it is a fantastic horror game. Now, I never played it. I played it for testing it, but I saw like a ton of footage of this one, and I played Siren on the PlayStation 3. So now I'm still on the lookout for Forbidden Siren 2. And I think that's all the Siren games. But yeah, what I mentioned early on, this is definitely a very cool horror title. I just like the audio design a lot. I also like the mechanic, like seeing through the eyes of the enemies, and it is an odd title with the structure itself, because sometimes you play with different characters, like they are just small segments with each section has their own mission. Each character like has to do a certain thing. So you do see kind of like the story for multiple. Is there a story? Yeah, to some extent, but you do see like it from a different perspective. But I just kind of like that structure, that it's like very small segmented. You can do a mission, you replay missions again to maybe do it in a different way. It's just very fascinating. It's something else different than the other horror titles on the PlayStation 2. And again, like the audio design and also like the graphics themselves, I just like that PlayStation 2 aesthetic, like the kind of like a low fidelity, but the texture work is amazing. But then you do have like that noise added to it. It just looks scary, and that is what and that is why I'm collecting like the horror titles for the PlayStation 2, but because it just nails the graphics and the look, the visuals. So yeah, I really wanted to add this one and experience it, for the full extent instead of just watching videos. So yeah, very happy with Forbidden Siren, and that was the final game that I picked up. Let's go over the games that I picked up at this convention, because it is kind of amazing. Like I'm overwhelmed by the quality titles that I picked up, and also the amazing deals that I got. Like the other games are in front of me, and I still can't believe it. It was only my 4th convention, but this was definitely my best convention ever. So yeah, I picked up Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness for the Nintendo GameCube, Contra Shattered Soldier for the PlayStation 2. Also, look at this condition, man. It's so good. Then we got like Ogre Battle 64. And I will talk about this one in the next segment. Because it's a topic that I want to talk about, like the Nintendo 64 collection and also GameCube to some extent. Little Ninja Brothers. Man, picking up USA NTSC NES titles, totally unexpected. Very happy with those. Then we picked up Treasure Master, Casino Kid, and the Red Ninja, The Suffering. Oh, man, look at this. So good. Love it. And Forbidden Siren. Now, I think I need to swap out this case, because the case is like somewhat scratched, but the cover, everything looks like very good. This is just a nitpicky thing. But man, what a stack of games, like so good, like amazing. If it wasn't clear already, this game convention was a huge success. Like besides the games that I picked up that I'm very happy about, it was just a very pleasant and overall a very chill experience. Completely different than the prior conventions that I went to. And I think what definitely helped out was the venue itself, like a very spacious, like a huge skate icering. I think that is what you could call it. But it was just very spacious, and when I compare to the prior conventions, those all took place like in a smaller venue. A lot of people went in, and you are always standing like at a stand with maybe 5 or 10 people like besides each other, and I kind of feel like rushed at that point. But with this one, I think, yeah, it was just very spacious. It felt like very mellow and chill, and I felt like I was able to take my time to browse through the games, and even had like a proper conversation with the sellers to make some deals, instead of just like going and just quick and trying your best to find like the games that you're looking for. What also helped out was that I wasn't necessarily stressing out with a list. Of course, there are games that I want to pick up and I'm looking for. But the last time I just made such a strict list of, hey, these are the games that I want to pick up, and anything else I don't want to pick up. yeah, that just doesn't work for me. So that was a good learning experience at this convention as well, because yeah, I did find like some games that I wanted to pick up, but also some really unexpected games. For example, the ENS games and the Nintendo 64 games. But yeah, overall, very happy that I took the effort to go there. Like I mentioned in the intro, going to Tilburg takes about like 3 hours and 30 minutes with the train. So I stayed in a different place nearby Tilburg, and only had to take like a train for 45 minutes to go to Tilburg in the morning. I stayed in a hostel. It's been a long time since I stayed in a hostel, maybe 15 years or so, or even longer. It was a good experience in the hostel, but barely slept, maybe 5 hours or so. It was also hot as hell. But yeah, taking that little bit of effort definitely helped out to go there or to get there as early as possible in the morning. Because when the other convention took place in Tilburg, maybe early this year, I heard some stories about like the waiting line. That if you arrived there a little bit later, you had to wait a couple of hours. But even heard that some people were waiting outside still when the convention was closing, and they were just not able to get in there. Now this time when I left, though, I did not see a waiting line, so I'm not sure if they did something differently this time. But it was not busy, so I assume that they maybe had like a limit for the amount of people that could go in there. So if you have like any experience with the waiting line over there in Tilburg, do let me know. I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, the next time when I want to visit like the Tilburg Game Convention again, I will probably take the same approach. Because yeah, I don't want to, take a train ride like for 3.5 hours and then, maybe you have to wait like for a couple of hours in line to get in. So yeah, that little bit of effort definitely was necessary and worked out. Of course, you have to pay for a hostel. I had to pay like maybe around like 40 euros or 45, which is not a ton, but you have to go out for dinner and, buy your breakfast. So it kind of adds up. But that leaves me with the final talking point for this convention is just the deals that I had over there. Because this is my fourth convention, so I don't have like a ton of experience with a game convention. But whenever I see or hear people talk about conventions, it's always about, the prices are higher. And I mentioned it before, yeah, the prices are somewhat higher, but also sometimes they are just lower. For example, with the Suffering and Red Ninja, and I think Forbidden Siren was like a decent price. And also the Nintendo 64 games and the Nintendo of the NES games, they're all very reasonable priced. Yeah, I did see some higher priced games though, like that you go like, what the hell are you thinking with this price? But overall, that were just like a couple of vendors, and it's their own choice to maybe mark up the price to such an extent that it just doesn't become like a nice game to pick up because the price is just double or even more. So I think overall there was a good balance with the prices and the vendors. Again, a couple just were asking like too much for a couple of games. But with the deals that I got, like I think if I were to order this online, I would definitely spend more on these games than what I had or did spend there at the convention. Now I'm not gonna tally up all the prices because I don't want to get reminded about like the amount that I paid for all these games. But again, the thing is though, my budget was solely on games that I sold in the last month or so. Because yeah, sometimes I sell games for my collection again if I, in the end, don't end up not being interested in it. So these are all paid by games that I sold again. So I feel good about it. But it was totally worth the trip, like spending that extra amount of money for a hostel and going there. Because yeah, I don't think I was able to make, I definitely believe that if I had to purchase these online, I would probably pay like 100 euros or 150 more or so. So it definitely worked out in the end with the price. And that definitely makes me think, because I've never been a huge fan for game conventions, because might think what I always think is that I'm not able to find like NTSC games over there, and also the NES games over there, because I collect NTSC NES games, collect NTSC Nintendo 64 games. But I also saw like PlayStation NTSC games over there, and also Dreamcast NTSC games over there. So that was definitely a good reminder for myself. Like, you are still able to find like NTSC games at these conventions, and you also collect like PAL games. So like in the past, like I wasn't very active with collecting PlayStation 2. I'm not collecting PlayStation 2 titles, but you know what I mean. But GameCube, I collect PAL games for the GameCube. So it's worth it now for me to go to those conventions. And what I mentioned earlier on, there's one that will take place in October, but it's definitely worth it. And that makes me really reconsider my purchasing habits, and if I am gonna look out for games still on Vinted or online marketplaces, because going to a convention, like being able to make these deals, is gonna worth it. Like if I save up money in a couple of months and then go to a convention and then go on a buying spree, maybe that's like a better way to approach like collecting games. I'm not sure. Maybe you do have like an opinion about it, but if I see the games over here and what I paid for it, it is definitely worth it to me, though. But yeah, the final thing, briefly mentioned it. I saw some PlayStation 1 NTC games as well. Maybe not like the big games, and I do collect PlayStation 1 NTC games, but not actively right now. Saw some Dreamcast games, Crazy Taxi maybe for 15 euros, which was kind of like an amazing deal. I should have picked it up, but I was trying to keep it within a budget. I only have one Dreamcast game currently for the Dreamcast. That's Virtua Tennis. I'm not collecting for the Dreamcast. That is just a scary path to walk on. I have a feeling like I don't want to start doing that. But there, I do have some thoughts about the next step that I'm gonna take with my collection, and let's talk about that right now. Listen, I know this is a long video, but I wanted to make something special. There's just this one final thing that I do wanna, kind of talk about, and maybe you do have like an opinion about it as well. See, going to that game convention and seeing the games that I picked up, I've been thinking more and more about the collection itself and where it's heading towards to, but also the goals that I have for this collection. Now, it's not solely because of the game convention. This has been like something that I've been thinking about for quite a while now, for even like a couple of years. Like, am I gonna go for a full, complete collection, and if I'm gonna do that, for which console? And that is something that I do want to talk about right now, because I kind of want to have some opinions about it. Maybe you do have like a way to oppose this, but yeah, I collect, if it wasn't clear, I collect like NES and TSC games, so games from the USA. Don't ask me why. The short answer is 60 hertz. They run better, and that is just how my collection started out as. And when I started with collecting NTSC games, it was a little bit more, it was still expensive, but cheaper then. But these days, it's just more expensive. Maybe at some point, I will make a specific video about that, just to show how crazy it is to collect for like NTSC games these days, especially when you import it. But yeah, the same goes for like Nintendo 64, NTSC, Super Nintendo, NTSC, but the GameCube is PAL. For PlayStation 2, also PAL, and PlayStation 3 and Xbox is all PAL. It's all like Europe region. And GameCube collecting for me is kind of like maybe the easiest thing to do, because I don't have to import them. But yeah, sometimes I do have to pay or purchase them from eBay and still deal with the shipping cost, whatever. But even though, it is a little bit easier to gather those games and to get them. My plan is currently not to get like a complete GameCube collection though, but I've been thinking about that. Because for the PlayStation 2, I've been focusing on a sub-collection. Just get the horror games and get like the samurai and ninja games for the PlayStation 2. And get some like weird games like here and there. Just because they are fun. But I really don't want a complete PlayStation 2 collection. There's quite a bit of overlap with the Xbox games. And also especially like, the GameCube games. Splinter Cell... Time Splitters, Splinter Cell, and SSX. Like there is just a ton of games that are released on both consoles, and that is kind of nice. But in that case, I rather pick up the GameCube version of it. Now, lately, in the last couple of years, like price has gone, through the roof, and ordering like games from overseas has just become like a very expensive thing. And then at some point, my dream was to collect or get like the complete NES collection, just retail release. And for my notes, we are talking about probably 739 games. It is very difficult to get like an exact number, and I'm kind of afraid to even look at and search for that number. But that's a ton. Now, I'm not going to say like the amount of games that I have currently, but yeah, I'm not even at 50%. I do have like a ton of NES games, some PAL exclusive games though, but yeah, I'm nowhere near like the halfway point. The Nintendo 64, I'm going to check my notes again. The NTC collection, it hovers around like, I think it's like 296, but it could be like 297 if you include one of the Formula 1 games, but that was like a release in Brazil, I guess. But sometimes that one is not really counted towards that number because it's like super rare and also super expensive. And either way, if it's like 296 or 297, it's still a lot of numbers, but it kind of feels like obtainable. And that's the thing that I've been thinking about lately. Am I able to get a complete NTSC Nintendo 64 collection? I don't know, but it feels a little bit more obtainable than the NES collection. So for the NES, before I forget to say, like, yeah, that is definitely like a no-go, like going for a complete collection, because that's gonna get expensive as hell, and I don't have the patience and money for that. Although, for the NES, I think currently I think for a while I've been not actively like collecting for that console, but I think what I want to do is maybe find out like some sub collections. Like, am I able to collect all the Capcom games? Am I able to collect all the Konami games? Just maybe make collections of like published games by a certain company and try to get those. And maybe at some point, in 20 years, I have like a full set, but that's definitely not the plan right now. Because that would mean I have to get like the Little Samson game. And sadly, I don't own that one. And how much is that one? Like 2K? For the Nintendo 64, it feels a little bit obtainable. I'm not at 50%. Once I'm at 50%, I will let you know. But it is getting close though. And I do have some expensive games, but definitely not like the most expensive games like the Clay Fighter, the Sculptor's Cut, which is also like 1,500 euros or dollars. It's just like super expensive. There are a couple of other games as well that are expensive, but it just feels like an obtainable collection, I think. But I need to research this one, if it's actually obtainable. But I'm nearing... No, I'm not nowhere near the halfway point, but it feels like okay-ish. But for the Nintendo 64, it's kind of difficult to create like a sub-collection because the library is not that big, but maybe I could focus on the first-party title first. It's a similar thing that I did with the Wii. I got all the first-party titles and some third-party titles besides it. But yeah, a complete Wii collection is also rather insane. Now, the GameCube, though, like... If I were to go for a complete collection right now, it would either be the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube. But saying GameCube out loud, and if that is obtainable as well, is also kind of crazy. In the video you have seen for the GameCube, for example, the Frogger Beyond, which was listed as a seller for 800, and then I think the Ninja Turtles game that was besides it was 1600, but that might have been like a sealed game. But that's just a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. And two other games that stand out to me that are very expensive is like Gadget Racers, and there was this other one. Maybe it was Frogger. Like you do have like Gadget Racers and Frogger Beyond, and Gadget is like around like 600. Although I think the Frogger Beyond for 800 is maybe a little bit like marked up a little bit too high, but it is expensive. Let's just say between 600 and 800. You don't see it that often, and this was actually the first time that I saw that game like in real life. But yeah, just seeing those games and seeing my GameCube collection, also not at halfway point, but kind of near it. No, not kind of. I will let you know when I'm near the 50% of the GameCube collection. But if I'm correct, for a PAL GameCube collection, like the retail release, consists of like 448 games. Sounds a lot. Sounds like a lot of games. But maybe obtainable. Not like within a year, but I'm thinking about like 5 or 10 years or so. So yeah, for the GameCube, I don't have like a set list of sub-collections or, I want to have like these games for this specific publisher. I do want to get like all the first-party titles, like the Nintendo made ones. I think I'm near that though, but I need to check that out. But yeah, lately I have been just thinking about what is my next goal and do I want a goal like that? Because I really enjoyed the convention, like not having a list, don't worry about it and just pick up the games that I want. But at some point, I think I would really enjoy having a complete collection of something, not just a sub-collection. Another sub-collection that I forgot to mention though is also the From Software one. That is not closed though for the PlayStation 2. Do need like the most expensive ones, like a Quan or Kuon. That one is expensive. I saw that at the convention though for 430 euros, which is a little bit higher than I would expect and willing to pay for it. Maybe 300 sounds like okay-ish. That's a lot of money, but it's From Software, and the Armored Core games, a couple of them are also very expensive, like The Last Raven and another one. And I think I only have like one Armored Core game for the PlayStation 2 Nexus, I think. And the first three are quite cheapish, like around like 20 or 30. But anyway, that sub-collection, I kind of like having that focus on the sub-collection. But I'm really, especially after this game convention, thinking about, is a full set obtainable and doable for either the Nintendo 64, NTSC, or the PAL GameCube one. I'm really thinking about which one would I try to attempt. Like the NTSC one, that is gonna get crazy because I would have to import it or even visit some game conventions overseas. That would be fun at some point, but I would, if you had told me like a couple months ago that was like an idea and it's something that I could do, I would not say like, oh yeah, sounds like a reasonable thing. But now I'm starting to think about it. Like, would that be possible? And I'm just kind of curious, like, this is kind of like a brain fart. I'm just dumping this on you, but maybe you do have like an opinion about it. Like again, for the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, not halfway there. I really do need to do some research about like the real rare games. Like, of course, you do have like a Frogger Beyond. But after like that CEX game hunt and missing out on the Mary-Kate and Ashley game, I've only seen it listed once on eBay. And that is it. So you do get like a couple of games that are just like rare, but probably cheap. But still, you need to find it. But that could be fun. I'm really thinking about it. This is not me saying like I'm going for it, but just maybe you do have like an opinion about it. What would you do in this case? Would you go for like an NTSC, Nintendo 64 collection? That is just, the amount of games is a little bit less, but it will become quite expensive. But I think it would be less expensive than a complete GameCube collection. Do you have like a GameCube or a complete collection of something? Also let me know. Yeah, I've been just thinking about like strategies, like do you go for sub collections first and see how that goes, and then, at some point you do have like that complete collection or near it, or do you focus on like getting the cheaper games first before those like go up in price, or do you just like save up money, go for the rarity first, so that you kind of know that at some point it is obtainable? Because what if you have like that complete collection, but you're missing out that one rare game that is just not obtainable? That would suck as well. Still, you do have like a lot of games to play then, but if you're so close to a complete collection and you're just missing out on a couple of games, that would kind of suck, wouldn't it? I've been just thinking about this quite a bit. Do need to think a lot more about it. I'm gonna make a list of games that I need to get, kind of get a feel like what are the rare games, what are the most expensive games. But I think that would be fun. That would be a fun goal. And the NES one, I also didn't mention the Super Nintendo. Not gonna go for that because there are just a ton of games and those are expensive, and my collection is not that near the halfway point. Not even. Do have some expensive games though, but no, that is just off the table. So it could either be Nintendo 64 or GameCube. Well, that is gonna do it. Before I end though, listen, two things that I do want to show and mention. Let me know what you think about the sub collection or the complete collection, and if you do have like a strategy for that. Really curious about that. But yeah, a while ago, I think last week or so, I showed 2 Super Nintendo games with stickers on it, and I attempted to clean them. And I said in the comments I would show the end result. So here's Cool Spot, and I will try my best to maybe show like a picture of what it looked like when I purchased it. But this one, it seems decent, and I don't see, well, there's some residue on it, but I still need to clean it. But that was a success. I was able to remove the sticker, so very happy about that. And finally, the other one was AirType. Now, this one is also a success, but the label, you can't even see it, but there's, like a layer got kind of loose. That can happen, but still it is much better than having the sticker on this one. And it's completely clean. So very happy with these two. And I just dropped the game. I'm happy with these two, and Cool Spot is on the ground now. That is gonna do it. Thanks all for watching this video. I know it's a long video. Apologies, I guess, but I had such so much fun with this game convention. Very happy with the games that I picked up. Just wanted to make a very special video about it. The next game convention is in October, like early October. Planning to go there, but I think it is a smaller one. And I think a month later there's another game convention. Probably will go to that as well because I need more game conventions. I kind of start to love it and really enjoy it. But yeah, don't expect like a video like this like every week. Next week there's gonna be a new game pickup video, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a little bit more like leaning towards like Xbox 360. Also, I am planning on maybe making a top 10 games for the Xbox 360 that are below like $10 or so. So that I can give some recommendations of games that you could search out for. If you like that idea, then do let me know in the comments, and I will start working on that and do some research like proper games that are below $10 for the Xbox 360. It seems just like a fun project to do. With that said, have a nice day, have a good weekend, and see you all later. And again, thanks for watching. And also thank you to everybody that has subscribed and liked my videos in the last couple of weeks. Really appreciate it. And see you next time. Bye.